Hey everyone, welcome back. We got a weird champ build for you today, about 85 to 90 kpm. Now, this is just more of funny theory craft, and I don't expect anyone to actually use this in mission seriously. But if you want to play around or find a better use for this, be my guest. It is pretty tedious to do after all. Today we're looking at a funny gimmick on the Pangolin Sword. Not the Pangolin Prime, just the normal sword version. This can also be a carpal tunnel simulator. Basically, we are spamming slam attacks repeatedly to kill everything near us. This does not work on acolytes, so you still have to bring a weapon for them, such as this Brahma I have. But what's actually happening? Pangolin Sword, like a bunch of older weapons, such as Heat Dagger or Atarax, have unique elemental procs on their slam attack. Heat Dagger does, you guessed it, heat procs. Anyways, Pangolin Sword also has Force Proc Slash on Slam. We are also using Xata's Whisper today for several reasons. First, Xata's Whisper double dips the Stealth Multiplier, which increases your damage to 8 times. It's a yellow number, but just keep in mind, yellow number here does not mean you crit. Yellow is shared with stealth hits. This is important because slam attacks cannot crit under any circumstances. It does not matter if you have Covenant, Avenger, Adarza, etc. It can never, ever crit. This is also important because stealth multipliers share the same stat line as crit damage, which means the crit damage stat dilutes stealth multipliers. Think Serration with Vex Armor. That's how it works, same stat bin. But because slam attacks cannot crit, we get an actual 8 times damage increase from stealth when we add 700% scaling. But stealth scaling is squared on Xata, resulting in 8 squared or 64 times damage, purely because of stealth multipliers. Slam attacks apply Banes once. The Force Proc Slash from Pangolin Sword will apply the Bane again, resulting in a double dip Bane slash dot. Xata's Whisper creates the hit off the slam, which dipped the Bane once. Xata will dip the Bane again, resulting in a double dip Bane hit. For enemies that are susceptible to stealth damage, they will most likely die near instantly to the 64 times stealth hit, increased further by the double dip Bane. If stealth isn't active, since enemies that see you cannot be hit for stealth, or even if touched by anything, be it abilities or other weapons, cannot be hit for stealth for the next 3 seconds, you still have the slam AoE of Pangolin Sword itself and not Xata, which is boosted by double dip Bane on slash procs. The result? Things still die. Without Stealth Multiplier though, enemies in Endurance cannot really be killed this way, but at base till path, the Slam AoE slash on today's build does do enough to kill enemies regardless. As a forewarning, this is a Riven build. On the other hand, this Riven cost me 35 plat. The crit chance is irrelevant for today's build because I can just spam slams to kill. Now if I do want to use it as a normal melee or a heavy attack spam, then I guess this stat can come in handy. But because Banes are not that chased after, and all I care about is the Bane stat line, this made the Riven extremely cheap. It's also easy to roll for since you only need one stat and don't care about other positives or most negatives. How much does this boost my damage? Yes, I know it's minus Corpus, but I just run Toxin DPS in that case. The funny is this being able to kill fully armored Steel Path Grenier, but this Bane stat line causes my slams overall to do 2.45 times more damage. Yeah, it's a lot. There's one last important tech to mention here. You need to animation cancel slam attacks to be able to do them repeatedly and quickly. This is where carpal tunnel can be relevant. Many things can cancel slams, be it abilities, operator, etc. I chose to use an emote cancel because it doesn't cost energy and doesn't cost any extra issues like going into operator. It's my standard wave. I think you can use almost any emote of your choosing. Essentially, I keybinded this emote to a mouse button in my settings. If I press this, I can wave without opening my wheel. And no, I'm not going to be skipping the emote wheel for my intros in the future, that was just for this one. I know that's probably the first thing you thought of, but it's a tradition. If I double tap this emote, it starts and ends it. More importantly, it interrupts any action my frame is doing. If I double tap it even faster, you can't even tell I'm emoting anymore. But what this does is end the slam animation early, so you can double emote as soon as a slam connects and then immediately jump slam again. You loop this as much as you want until the enemies are dead or bleeding out. This is the part on why I said the build may not be that practical for everyone, and is more so for funsies. If stealth multiplies trigger, they're probably dead in a single hit. Otherwise, multiple slams are required. Let's look at these builds. It is a generic strength and duration Ashe. Efficiency is not too important since the only abilities we're casting are Invis and Xata. Xata lasts 80 seconds on the setup and costs 38.75 energy. Smokescreen lasts 18 seconds. You barely use your 1 and 4. This last slot I had polarity problems, but it's to your taste. Either streamline if you're worried about energy, or seeking shuriken if there's an enemy you really want to strip, such as acolytes, or prime flow if you're worried about energy max and don't have spare blue Archon shards to slot on like I'm using here. Neuromons do not have to be ranked, but are important because they increase the damage the Slam AoE does, which is also the hit that force procs slash on this weapon. The third mod is a whip mod, so we can't really use it. Molt Augmented pushes us up to 358 strength, so the Xata hit has 93% relative scaling to your original hit. Because I'm using Madurai Focus School for 50% more casting speed but 40% strength, this bumps us all the way up to 398, or basically 100% scaling. Alternatively, you can run Arcane Trickery since the clone damage from Bladestorm is still infinitely high. Bladestorm's kills can trigger Arcane Trickery and thus keep you invisible without having to worry about smokescreen uptime. If you want to see more info on those crazy new Ashe builds, well, go check out the videos at the top right. This is because if your invis drops, you become detected and instantly lose the ability to stealth damage any enemy that has line of sight to you, which nerfs your damage output on the immediate group you face. Smokescreen cannot be recasted when already active. Therefore, Trickery Bladestorm lets you overlap invis with Smokescreen to prevent this issue from happening. Prime Sure-Footed is there for obvious reasons, and if you don't bring Energize, then in this empty slot I would recommend Equilibrium. With the kills you get, Panzer Synth Set should let you grab health orbs into energy even when full HP quite often. It's a stock Panzer build with all the usual stuff: Martyr to keep you alive, Panzer to give it infinite lives, Radar, Vacuum, and of course the previously mentioned Synth Set. The Pangolin build is quite simple. Usually the only mods in the game that affect slam damage are Nero mods, which are the same as these actual slam damage mods and Banes. Base damage doesn't matter, elementals don't matter, etc. Attack speed also doesn't matter because we're emote cancelling the slam, which makes attack speed recovery animation useless. Elementals are used because while the slam does not include them, slam hits do trigger Xata's extra hits. And Xata, even from a slam, does include the elemental mods. Therefore, we pile on all the remaining slots with as many elementals as we can. Focus energy is just there because whatever. You can use Voltaic Strike or any similar instead, but status is kind of useless since Slam cannot proc anything except the Force Bleed. Riven, as I said, is Bane because it double dips on the slash proc and double dips on Xata. If you get a stealth multiplier, they're dead instantly. The Xata hit usually will range several 100,000 if you land stealth. Cheers. If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get new information out always as soon as possible, like I've been doing with the Duviri update and Kullervo. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. Don't miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching and see you all next time.